What's up, everyone? What's happening? Ricky Poo? What's up with that, Tom? What's happening, everyone? It's another day in Beato neighborhood. There you go, Don. What's up, Audrey? Garrett? Good to see everyone. Let's see what's going on here. Took the day off today from making a video. Can't make a video every single day. Can almost make a video every day, not quite. Have to, thanks, Tom. Have to, you know, recharge the batteries once in a while. I do have a pretty strong tolerance for this stuff, though. Making videos is pretty easy, actually. Well, it's hard. It's hard to get starting them, but once you get started, no problem. I got an idea for tomorrow's video already. I was working on it a little bit, and it ends with this chord. That's all I'm going to say. Rhett's live streaming on your other computer. Well, he's been live streaming. Tell him you got to go. I told Rhett not to live stream when before me. I told him get off at 10. He's actually he's off tonight. I talked to him earlier. He's back from Nashville. Probably something jazz. No, it's not something jazz. Well, it is kind of jazz, but it's actually from a film score. It's probably from the most famous movie theme of all time. Green-eyed lady, lovely lady, Ray. Let's see here. If anybody guesses it, I'm going to be amazed. I'm going to play it one more time. Anybody? James. Pretty good. Pretty smart. Yeah, William, you got it. It's amazing. One chord. One chord, and you got it. That's pretty impressive. Apocalypse Now. Come on, Don. Yeah, we're gonna do a little double O. Subi, what's up? Subi, I got you covered, man. Got something coming to you. Let's see, what else? So I hit 10,000 on my Instagram, 10,000 people. David, it's an augmented major 7, but it's really augmented. It's really a minor major chord, right? Minor major 7 with a 9, right? So it'd be. Anyways. So, but it is an but the other part of it, David, is actually an augmented major 7. I'm playing a G augmented major 7, G major 7 sharp 5 over E. Marshall, you keep sending Guthrie letters. Same chord, Ray, exactly. Same chord. It's one of the chords from the E melodic minor scale. You know, it's the 3rd chord, so it works. It's the upper, you know, it's the 3rd, 5th, 7th, and 9th. 3rd, 5th, major 7th, flat 3rd, 5th, major 7, and 9 of a minor major 7 chord. And that's really so I'm going to talk more about it in the video, so I don't want to give it away, so to speak. Give it away now. The The melodic and harmonic triads have that chord. Yes, the melodic minor and the harmonic minor scale both have a major 7 sharp 5 chord built off the third, augmented major 7th chord built off the third of the scale, flat third. So if it's E melodic minor or E harmonic minor, it's the same. And that tune, well, I'm not going to talk about it. What's my favorite Bond movie? Probably Goldfinger, I think. I like some of the later ones too, though. What's up, Martin? It's probably me, Sting. Never was a big fan of that song. And I'm a huge Sting fan, but not a fan of that song. Casino Royale is a great movie. Really great movie. I liked, I like Sean Connery. I like Roger Moore. And not a big Timothy Dalton Bond fan, though, I have to say. I've seen every Bond movie, though, for sure. Out of those, some of the ones that didn't have great villains, I mean, Christopher Lee was Man with a Golden Gun. Not a big fan of that movie. Was it Christopher Lee? They gave it to Adele instead, but Muse got the Olympic theme. Daniel Craig is great. He's really great. Anyways, what's my opinion on Miles Davis's racism? I don't know. I didn't know Miles Davis. And so I don't really have an opinion. Let's see. Have I ever thought about making a video where you show us a method when I transcribe a song from scratch? Transcribe a song from scratch. It sounds like a very boring video. I don't know why anybody would want to watch me transcribe something. So that doesn't sound like an interesting video. How's Dylan doing with cello? Dylan is playing the oboe, Marshall. Where have you been? You've been playing it for the entire school year. No, that's not true. That's not true. Just since January. I thought it was the entire school year. 10 Sumner's Tales is your favorite. Mr. Drucker. Soul Cages. Those are good albums, but I don't personally think that they're even close to the first two records. The first two were my favorite, without question. I thought that they had increasingly that they didn't have as good of songs on them as they went on. They had decent singles, but they weren't nearly as impressive as the earlier ones. Synchronicity, can't go wrong with that. My daughter Layla loves hearing Sting and loves the Police. But I haven't played her his solo records. So we'll see. Maybe I'll try that tomorrow on the ride to school. We'll see what happens. What's Philip say here? No politics, no controversy. That's not true. I'm always into controversy. Could we stick to music? Does Rick dance? Justin Guitar did a video of the Smiths. Showing a video still on YouTube. Maybe the Smiths aren't blockers. How do some writers get better and some lose it, Subi? Well, most of them, pop writers or rock people, get worse with age. And most famous classical composers get better with age, I think. I'd stack up any of Beethoven's all his latest works. His greatest symphony was his Ninth Symphony, I think. I'd put the sixth as being the second, and then the fifth probably. Uh, Beethoven's Fourth Piano Concerto to me was his strongest, most impressive, and most melodic. His late string quartets to me were his most interesting string quartets. Art of Fugue with Bach, the second book of the Well-Tempered Clavier, which was done in 1742, to me is some of his best work. I mean, the first book is amazing, 1722, equally incredible, but the second book has a I like the yeah. You look, I like the Third Symphony. I like the Seventh Symphony, but I've not heard the new Alice in Chains song. The Alice in Chains is playing in Atlanta tonight too. I got offered tickets, but um, you know, get to be a certain point where I've seen Alice in Chains and I've seen um, you know. Anyways, what's the drummer in my band doing? Rick asked. He's a monster drummer. He did not play for Collective Soul. He's playing with Anderson East right now. Is that his name? Um, and he played on. I've seen him play on TV. I saw him play on Colbert. He tours all over the place. He's Darren's amazing. Just incredibly good drummer. So I am working on. I'm working on having some film composers as guests. I'm working on having some producers that produce some of these big records be guests on the show. And um, so I got some stuff in the works now. Um, and I still want to have some of these jazz people that we've talked about on here as well. So I'm working hard at it. It's tough, but it's getting easier as I get more subscribers. I hit 350,000 yesterday. I think I'm gonna about almost at 352 now. And Steve, yes, I'm going to include some sound engineers on the list because some of the people are the engineers. Some of the people that produce the records are also the engineers. Or at least they were very involved. I was talking about Hugh Padgham the other night, for example, who did Synchronicity and Ghost in the Machine, and he is he's a great engineer. I believe he mixed the record too. Back in those days, on some of those classic records, the engineer was the mixer as well. Andy Johns mixed all his records. Glenn Johns, his brother, mixed all his own records, and so Philip, you were interviewed on a relatively small channel. Somehow you have a handful of fans, although your channel growth has stalled. It's tough. I talked about this the other day about channel growth, and I talked about this with Rhett a little bit, or a lot. I've talked about this. Look, YouTubers talk about YouTube because this is the medium which we put out our art, if you want to call it. Content, if you want to call it that, whatever, and the people that are running YouTube have made decisions to promote people that advertisers to pay people to make content, apparently people that they can make more advertising dollars on. Will Smith, LeBron James, there's a whole article about this I was talking about the other night. And there are people that, I'll be honest here, people like Rhett, people like Nari that make no money, that can't monetize their videos because they don't have enough watch time in a month. I didn't realize that this was a monthly thing, but you have to have 4,000 hours of watch time in in a particular 28-day period in order to monetize your videos. So essentially, all the millions of people that have less than that, that's a lot of hours. It's 240,000 minutes. You know, that's not an insignificant amount. All those people, YouTube is getting a free ride on because they all have advertising on their channels. Stop having Genesis conversations in here, all right? Man. Have your conversations with yourself later on or on the Beato forum. Yeah, so I think that's I think I think that come on, Lee. Would you talk in class? 4,000 hours. 4,000 hours is more than you think it is. That's a good deal. The banhammer is rising. Anyway, so this is look. This is kind of a concerning thing, I think. All you guys are on YouTube here. You're kind enough to be along on this journey with me. And I think that oh, Hassan, yes, I saw the Barry Harris thing. These meme videos to me are just, I just think they're ridiculous. You get to a certain age, it's like it's like stuff my kids would laugh at. So, and the people that they were talking about, the people that are getting demonetized that kind of started this thing off are the Paul brothers. So, and they've gone to Twitch because, look, advertisers don't want to, they don't want to advertise on channels that have offensive content, which I don't blame them. Businesses should be able to advertise where they want. Do you mean 4,000 minutes? No, I mean 4,000 hours, Tom. 4,000 hours. Pretty sure that's what it is. So, this is a platform that, and I agree, Harvester, about the Paul brothers. I mean, this just stuff is unbelievably offensive. So, have I been demonetized in any of my videos for song analysis? Yes, pretty much all of them. There's another part to this, though. There's another part, and that's that people are here. Most people are here because they were recommended videos. I talk about this a lot, and if you're bored of it, I'm sorry, but I'm looking for insight into this because because I want to help other people that I believe in, like Nare, like Rhett, and I'm trying to help them with their channels, which is why I talk about their channels on here and promote them. When I first started, Amy Nolte was starting her channel, and Amy and I were friends, and I was pushing Amy's channel all the time. Well, Amy doesn't need any help anymore, And it's the algorithm, the algorithm is favoring people that have bigger followings. They're not only favoring that, they're favoring people that release a lot of content and content that is of length, so that it's I think watch time has an incredible. I was talking with Aaron earlier today. You guys know Aaron, my assistant, um, and he said that he imagines that you get a score based on your algorithm. Ray, be careful about that with Amy. She'd be really mad. Um, so, anyways, it's so people that release less videos in a week, people used to be able to release one video a week. This is what it's saying in the article. And the algorithm favors people that release 3 or more videos. And that's just the deal. So anyways, I'm doing what I can to support people. I talk about people, and I know Ray. You've heard Amy talk about this though, right? Hey Peter, how are you? Amy gets I've seen some horrible things on live streams of Amy's. Man, if you guys saw the thing that people wrote when Amy was on Periscope, it was unbelievable how offensive some things, some of the things that people would write on Periscope. Twitter is a cesspool pretty much, and that's Periscope is Twitter. It's very anonymous, and it is troll laden, if that's a word. Ray was not vulgar. I didn't say he was. No, I was just Luke asks if I have a Patreon. I do not have a Patreon. Um, and I say if you want to donate, buy my record that's on my website, or you can donate. I mean, if you want to be, you can do a donation on my website, and you can do it like Patreon, a recurring one. You can do it through PayPal. The internet has toxic elements. What can be done? I don't know what can be done. Just verify people's accounts, things like that. So I should not get a Patreon, Harvester of Tone. I don't believe in Patreon. And George, you're right about that. So disinhibition of anonymity. That sounds like an interesting video, Philip. I want to see that. Crowmag asks, "What is Patreon?" Patreon is a monthly crowdsourcing website that people can donate to creators. Let's see here. Patreons for beggars. Low. Let's see. Do I get money for YouTube super chats? I get, I thought that the money goes to me, or goes to YouTube people, but Aaron told me not too long ago that YouTube keeps 30%. I don't know if that's true or not. I don't know. I thought that the money from super chat goes to the creators, but and the reason, let me just talk about Patreon. The reason that Patreon, I've talked about this before, that I don't like Patreon, is the way that the interface works. Where when you open it as a creator, they say, "Do you want to follow other creators?" No, I want to go to my page and see if I can change my post. Subi, I'm not sure if that's true or not, but that may not be true. So, so Luke says it's not true. Okay, so it's probably not true then. They take a cut on super chat, and Martin, I don't know if that's true. I'm just saying that Aaron told me that. I didn't think that was true, and anyways. Any advice for a drummer who wants to learn piano? I already have an expensive instrument, an electric piano, a good place to start. Yeah, yeah, it's a good place to start. Aaron spreading fake news. When Aaron comes over here and works on my computer, he changes all my hard drive icons to some very funny picture. It's not user friendly, Lee. Patreon. Lee's talking about Patreon, and I agree. I just don't like the way that the last time I used the app, I was on Patreon a couple times for a very short period of time. Then I canceled my Patreon pages. I don't believe in it. I just don't like the way they run their business. Let's see. Okay, let's talk about some music here. What do you think about that? We do music here. Let's talk about music. I was listening to Charlie Christian tonight. Anybody familiar with Charlie Christian? Anybody know Charlie Christian? Now, Charlie Christian, really? Charlie Christian was the guitarist in Benny Goodman's band. And he was he was kind of a precursor to his improvisations were, I mean, he was Wes Montgomery's biggest influence. Okay, that should tell you something about him. He died, I want to say it, at age 23. I think 1942 he died. So I was listening to 7 Come 11 is a tune that they did that's based on rhythm changes. Serapis just said he started bebop, in your opinion, and you're kind of right about that. So I was listening, but it was interesting because I've been trying to think of. So 7 Come 11 goes like this. So it's a rhythm changes tune. Let me see. It goes like this. And then it goes to a bridge. And he's one of the first guys to use an electric guitar with a big band. And his solos were very much bridging the gap between swing and bebop. But what's interesting is I've been trying to find examples of the linear improvisations in the swing era, great examples of that versus examples of it in the bebop era. And when I was listening to it today, I thought, this is great because what Benny Goodman plays is very much the harmonic language of the swing era, which are natural nines, some flat fives, not really sharp nines. Well, they'll use them blue notes. They'd use augmented fifths in certain instances, but you don't have the altered dominant scale. You don't have the dominant diminished scale really yet. You'd find a lot of chords that were, chords like this, for example. Maybe that would be where you'd have the sharp 5 and the natural 9. And the lines, those Benny Goodman lines, I wanted to find something to compare to Charlie Parker because Charlie Parker changed the language of jazz at the time. And really, there were other people that were doing it. Somebody said, do I think that Art Tatum worked out stuff or did he improvise? And I think that he improvised, of course. Anyways, so And so one of the things is 7 come 11 is a rhythm changes in A flat, and Charlie Parker played a lot of rhythm changes. So I thought that would be really interesting to contrast what they played over rhythm changes melodically. And it was the bebop used the flat 9 for the first time. That was really kind of a hallmark of bebop. Charlie Parker was using the flat 9. And then, when you'd hear lines, okay, something like that. So I played on. There's my flat 9 there. Flat 9 there. So that flat 9 interval in if you were in swing, that's with natural 9s, right? So I played. And then I played. So, anyways, I'm going to do an analysis on that. So I thought when I was doing my research for my James Bond, I was looking at because the James Bond theme is really a guitar feature of in front of a big band, which was actually really really unusual at the time. Guitar players didn't really have features like that in jazz, where they played the Bond theme is really a jazz guitar feature over a big band. So and it was not a Strat that was not done on a Strat actually. It was done. I'll tell you what it was done on. It was done on a. There's an authorship dispute, and I'll talk about that tomorrow. But it was actually done on an English Clifford Essex Paragon Deluxe guitar plugged into a Fender Vibrolux. There you go. How you like that? But anyway, so that's kind of an interesting thing. So that's what led me back to Charlie Christian when I was thinking of what are jazz guitar features where or big band tunes where the guitar is playing the melody. And really, with Charlie Christian, that wasn't a big band. They were playing a small group. So Dr. No on Hulu right now. Look at that. And the Vic Flick was the one that played the guitar on that original one, Dr. No, and the theme. Also, another interesting thing I saw that Thomas Newman was doing an interview because he did the last two. The guy was on an episode of Pawn Stars, exactly. Thomas Newman did an interview after the last Bond film, and he said that the trumpet player in the orchestra that played on the soundtrack is the same guy that played on every single James Bond movie from Dr. No on. And they interviewed him, and he was 17 when he played in Dr. No. Vic Flick is the guy that played the guitar. Let's see here if I can find it. Vic Flick. Let's see if I can do this here. Well, you can look it up. Look up Vic Flick. He played the James Bond theme originally. He's still living, I believe. Yeah, he's definitely still living. Um, not even that old, I don't think. Dean says Chopin did not use flat nines. No, didn't Chopin use flat nines? Chopin absolutely did use flat nines. Bach used flat nines all over the place. Flat nines are not. Flat nines were used way before the bebop era. You know, Bach used them all the time. So, and yes, Ray, Thomas Newman of Shawshank. Thomas Newman, that did the Shawshank Redemption soundtrack, did the last two James Bond soundtracks, which are incredibly good. Matter of fact, I did a video of Donna Lucia, which is one of the cues that he did in that movie. Tom, I agree that James Bond's sound is amazing. Good stuff, right? That is some bebop right there, though. And they go, ba ba ba. Goes to that sixth Dorian sound there. Anyways, yeah. So that's. I love that. I love that stuff. That's probably so that's Vic Flick that played that originally. Dorian. What's the name of chord it ends with? We talked about that earlier, Nick. It's E minor major 7-9. Would I consider myself a guitar level studio musician? Absolutely, because I've been on about 1,000 recordings. That's my greatest lick from the other night. You just can't use almost gent, David. That is a very gent. It's a very gent lick right there, right? They have a YouTube exactly of him playing the Bond theme. His low E string's a little sharp, but we won't hold it against him. So John Barry, there was a dispute on the theme. I'm going to talk about that. I'll talk about that in my video. You'll see. I haven't done the video yet, but I know what I'm going to say. I've done some of the mock-up already to it. I started on it this evening. But how passionate am I about songwriting? I'm not that passionate about songwriting. Not anymore. Songwriting, but that's not songwriting and composing. I mean, yeah, I guess songwriting is composing, but you know, I don't know. I love composing, but I don't love songwriting of I don't like popular songwriting anymore. I'm just not that interested in it. Monty Norman actually wrote the theme. He had an authorship dispute with John Barry. Apparently, he started on it, and John Barry, he was replaced by John Barry, but he was a guitarist, I believe. Charlie asked me to explain the mock-up process. The mock-up process is basically when you create a version of the piece using synthesized sounds. I mean, using sampled sounds. Don, is my retirement everything I hoped it would be? Well, I'm not really retired. I'm just retired from producing. Steve, I must have a book full of video ideas. I do have a book full of video ideas. Doggy, you woke up at 4 a.m. Guess what? Rick is live. Yeah. Who's the best face-to-face guitar teacher in Atlanta? I have no idea. I don't know any guitar players in Atlanta. Um, Borrowed chords, substitute chords, interchangeable, William. You know, there's you know, you you um you you got to be able to name things multiple ways, really. Um, you know, some people call Lydian a raised fourth. They call it Lydian. You know, they call it a flat two, could be a Phrygian, or, you know, they just call it a flat two sound. Somebody asked me a great question here. Hassan, what's my favorite part of the day? Why don't people ask me questions like that? My favorite part of the day. As much as I complain about it hurting my kids, when I say hurt, I don't mean hurting them like like a bunch of crazed animals yelling at each other, trying to get them ready for school in the morning is one of my favorite parts of the day. Um, it's like herding cattle, exactly. It's funny because my daughters argue so much. Oh, that every day they just argue all the way to get into the car, but we going to school. My son Dylan gets up. He leaves first with my wife, and Dylan's always just asleep at the table, and it cracks me up. I go wake him up every day, and he's I was like, Dylan. He just pops up, and he just kind of puts his feet over and climbs down from his bunk, and he doesn't say anything. He goes in the kitchen. He just sits at the table like that. Then Layla's like, I want Mama to get me up. I'm like, oh, brother. But it's the same thing every day. It cracks me up, though, when I think about it. And then Lennon and Layla argue the entire way to school, and I drop Lennon off, and I bring Layla back with me. But it's they argue about nothing. It's just great, it cracks me up. So, and then we listen to music in the car, and I always have them point out stuff in songs. We'll listen to everything. I'll play them something. I'll say, do you know what this is? It's if I play Layla anything that she, they're both the girls are just really knowledgeable about music. If I play a Thomas Newman thing, they know. If I play John Williams, they know it's him. If I play Iden, they can tell Iden from Brad Meldau. They can tell, Pat Metheny. They can, if I say point out the one chord that's different here, and they'll go like that when it happens. There's a beautiful tune I wish I could play on here. There's two tunes off the early Metheny records. I hate to keep talking about Metheny. I just love those early records. Jesse, y'all are dads. In your 14? What are you doing here? Because I'm telling you about some great records now that you should listen to. And you can learn a lot from dads. Your dad's a lot smarter than you think he is. Well, maybe not actually. I don't know your dad. So I do kind of what my older brother used to do with me, where he would tell me to listen for things. Do you hear that? Do you hear that? I don't hear it. Just listen right there. And he'd sing some dissonant note or something that's in the arrangement. Put my ear up to the speaker. It's like, finally, oh, you mean this thing? And I'd sing it. And he said, yes, that's the best. And Ron, you have 5 grown kids. When they leave, you'll miss it. I'm sure. Um, but a lot of people think that my daughter Layla, that I'm her grandfather. I've heard that. Oh man. Oh brother. Um, it's like, is that your grandpa? I literally had people say that with my daughter Layla, who's 5. Is that your grandpa? Um, Mr. Drucker says, Rick, do I have a guilty pleasure in music? Something popular that you think has great songs, but I might not readily admit that I like it. You know what? I pretty much will tell people that I like things, even if they're ridiculous. I mean, look, I put out songs that I really like, and on my "What Makes This Song Great." You guys know what my musical taste is. You hear me talk about things I like all the time. I like the Monkey Lee. I like the Monkees, but they didn't really write their own songs. Um, no one but me admits they like April Wine, Don. That's funny. Um, that's good, Ron. Not funny, Ron. Kinch. Um, I love Taylor Swift, Tom. Do I have any advice on how to understand the harmonic concept of Bartok? Very good question. Um, there's a lot of this is interesting because that was a time when Bartok. There was a time in the early part of the 20th century that musical analysis was having to reinvent itself and come up with ideas in order to talk about music that was going on at the time. And Bartok's music was, there's, I don't think that there was as good of, um, I don't think there was as good a language that was around at the time that could describe. It wasn't like doing harmonic analysis, Roman numeral analysis, where you could say, oh, this is a chromatic median modulation, or this is, these are obvious things. As music got more chromatic, um, and, not even before pre-atonality, just when it got to, things like Bartok, it was more difficult to analyze, and people started inventing terms. I guess people always invented terms to analyze music. Um, but I love Bartok. I'm a huge Bartok fan because, he was heavily influenced by his, folk music. And he was an incredibly melodic composer. I am a huge fan of Bartok. Um, so, and I am, um, um, I haven't done any videos on Bartok yet, but I will. But I will. Um, and Kinch said, yeah, his string quartets are amazing. They're really, really, groundbreaking, I think. Wait, so David asked me which 2 Matheny tunes. Oh, okay. Um, Ice Wind and April Wind. No, Ice Fire and April Wind. Ice Fire is off of Watercolors, and April Wind is off the Matheny Group White album, self-titled. Um, and they're both in D minor, and they both have one chord in, well, they have multiple chords that modulate. But there's a particular thing that happens in both. There's a modal mixture that goes on in both of them that is really interesting. And in Ice Fire, he goes, he's going from D minor. He's playing a lot of, they're both, like I said, they're both in D minor, but you know, this one, and then he goes, he adds that F sharp in it. And every time the F sharp happens, I have my girls tell me where it is. Anytime you hear that, I tell them that. And then in April Wind, he's playing in D minor. And then, let's see, he goes to this. He goes from D minor to this D. It's like a G sus, right? Over D. And it's the only time in the track, it happens in a couple spots. And it's absolutely beautiful. So, but it's a way that he uses a modal interchange to add a note. So you're hearing D minor, D minor, D minor. Then all of a sudden in the one you hear that F sharp come in. And the other one you're hearing D minor. And you hear that B natural come in there. And that's the thing that I had asked Dylan a long time ago. I talked about this on here before, but I said to Dylan, why is it that chord sounds great? And he goes, because that's the first time you hear B in it. And so those are both Pat Metheny tunes. They're both solo guitar things. That's why I like them, and they're really beautiful. I want to play them really here, but they will get blocked. But maybe it's worth it to get blocked because I really want to play them. Can I play them? My video is going to get blocked. I don't care. I'm going to play them. Everybody that's on here now is going to hear them. Here we go. Because I totally want to do this. And I honestly, I listen to these things. Let me put them both in this playlist here. Okay, I actually have them. Okay. This is an exclusive stream, Subi. Okay, so here it is. And I'm going to play this. I love this tune. I'm going to start with April Wind, okay? So April Wind is the one that uses the B natural. And I'm going to point it out to you when it happens, okay? This is an improvisation. It's so beautiful. And Pat was 23 or something when he did this, and it doesn't sound like anyone ever. You can have the most ridiculous chops and play all this fancy stuff, but nobody plays stuff like this. Okay? Listen to this. Okay, that is unbelievable. I mean, it's not jazz. That's Pat Metheny music. That is just so unique to him. Really? I mean, it's just this. It is Hassan. That's right. It's so. When you hear that, it's very modal, right? But when he does it, I love that. Now, listen to the rhythmic feel on it. I'm playing it again. So when we're listening to it today, and I say, point out the chord, it happens about 4 times in the song, and both of them, I can see them, they both go like that, right when it happens. Boom. So this tune is called April Wind. It's on my playlist. Go to my playlist, Beatified Spotify playlist. It's on there. I'm going to play it again. I want you to pay attention. I want you to pay attention to the rhythmic feel and all the little dissonant, all the movements. There's all this great harmonic movement in this. I never heard him play it again. He easily could have improvised this. He was so good back then. Okay, so check it out. I'm playing it again from the top. Listen. Here, right here. There are so many amazing things about that performance. It boggles the mind. The control of every phrase rhythmically. This whole ending part, when he's doing this, the whole time feel, how languid it is. Listen to this, just this ending. Hold on. This does not give a Wookiee, it does not give Steve Howe and Steve Hackett a run for their money. I like Steve Howe and Steve Hackett. I like Steve Hackett much more than Steve Howe. No offense, but this is light years beyond them. Even though Trick of the Tail is one of the best 12-string records of all time. Okay, and I'm going to play Ice Fire now. Ice Fire is the other one that's in D minor. It's another Metheny tune off a different record. Let's see if it's on here. I think it's on here. Should be on here. Yeah, here we go. First track on here. Check it out. This time in this tune, he uses that F sharp. Okay, so check it out. Here we go. Then it moves into something else. Kinch, this is before. Well, Garbrek was doing stuff because he was doing stuff with Keith Jarrett, but this is really. There's nothing that sounds like this. I mean, none of the Abercrombie stuff, I don't think. No, I mean, definitely not. And it is so Metheny-esque. It's just, it is. There's no one can ever copy the guy because his melodic sense you cannot copy. You can't copy the accuracy of his playing. When you hear that, right? Right, and then you hear that F sharp in there. So both of these tunes are in D minor, but one of them uses does that modal modulation and brings in the major, right? That major third, and the other one brings in it's going from the flat sixth to the major sixth. Eberhard Weber, of course, is actually on that record with Metheny because Ice Fire is on what, or Eberhard Weber, or Ice Fire is on Watercolors. And but that Metheny 12-string thing was really his thing. I'm playing that again, so let's hear it again. This is not as deliberate though. This is more improvised. I'll play it again. This is definitely more improvised. The April Wind came after this, and it's more. His playing had gotten way more concise just in that year, a year and a half between the recordings of these. His playing was much more deliberate, much more accurate. Everything about it was okay. So I'm gonna play Ice Fire again. I love it because they're both in D minor. Okay, so here it is. So my girls will sit in the back, and when that F sharp comes in that, they'll go like that. They hear it. Okay, so here we go. This is 1977. Okay, so you notice there's never, ever a pause. There's never a hesitation ever on where he's going to go. Never. There's never a, oh, maybe I should, I screwed up here. There's never, he never makes you think that he's going to lose it. It doesn't even come into your head. It has so much flow. So much flow. It's just beautiful, right? Hold on. I'm going to play the other one again. We're going to listen to April Wind one more time here. Check it out. So this is 1 year later, okay, April Wind. I think that was improvised. He might have had the beginning idea. April Wind, though, I never heard him play April Wind. There's no recordings of it anywhere. Never, this very well easily, April Wind could be improvised as well. That's how good Metheny was. He's so in the zone. Alpha Dog, you're right. Check it out. The time feel in that is just so unbelievable. And the growth in his playing in 1 year, the control, the accuracy of the playing, that easily could be improvised, Lee. Easily, I've heard him improvise many things. He could easily have improvised that. You know, I'll tell you, since I'm playing Matheny and I'm gonna get banned for it. This is also on my playlist. This is I love this. I'm a huge fan of this guitar synth solo. It's on Rejoicing. It's called "Story from a Stranger," and this is one of his greatest solos because it's over one of the most interesting. He has such an interesting chord progression to play over. Check this out here. Okay, so that is his Roland GR303 guitar synth. To me, that's the best sound he ever had right there. And that's the best I've heard that recorded is in that time period. This is 1983. This is from the Rejoicing record with Charlie Hayden on the bass and Billy Higgins on the drums. That's Pat playing all the background guitar parts. This is by far one of his greatest compositions, melodically, harmonically, and the solo is just so. Every phrase is ended. There's no Lyle Mays here. Nothing. Every sentence has a period. I'm going to play you one of the best parts of the solo. We're going back. We're going back and listening. Here we go. When he goes ba da ba da 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 da. This is just you gotta listen to this part again. Right here, this phrase. What's beautiful, one of the beautiful things is that you've got, I can't play it on this guitar because the neck is too big. I got to play with my thumb, but the chords in that section, right? So it's a G sharp minor. This is why it sucks that I can't do any ECM music on my channel. It's completely idiotic. Because all of his best music is all from this era. So he's doing this. Listen again. So he's playing over these two chords in this part. I mean, it's just. Da, 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 da. I can't sing. My high range is really screwed. Right? He's got that A over E flat. He's got that. So just. There's no click track on that. I mean, that is just... so this is on the Rejoicing record. And, you know, to me, first of all, ECM has completely screwed up everything with their record label. Because, to me, all Pat's best stuff is on ECM, period. It's all ECM stuff. It's all up to 1984, where what's that, Cro-Mag? Is this a joke or what? No click track. Pat found a space. Pat didn't find a space. Pat created a space, and he did his own. He has his own incredible sense of. He has an incredible sense of melody, and it's unlike anyone else. It's this. It was a perfect blend of multiple genres of music. He has elements of folk music, of country music, of jazz. I mean, these original compositions, these are all really sophisticated chord progressions that he's playing on with a lot of modulations. Yet he plays over them so beautifully. Tom just said it. He understands beauty. And Martin said it just like Aiden, which is so true. I'm going to play you an Aiden tune here that is off one of his records back in 1987. This is on my playlist. It's called Deep. Check it out. the bass player on that is Peter Herbert, and the drummer is John Kozlu, who was Aiden's roommate back in the time, and we played a million gigs together back then. And John is a incredibly good drummer. Was one of Aiden's friends from Turkey that I heard from recently. That I hadn't heard from him in about 30 years. And John wrote to me. I'm going to play a song. This is another tune off. I know you guys probably think I only play Aiden and Matheny, but that's. But I'm going to play it because you need to hear this. This is a song off Aiden's record, Anadolu, that is called "The Roll of Time," and it's got Dave Liebman on it, and I forget who else is on this. But check this out. So that was the roll of time. That's actually only part of the tune. There's three different. There's roll of time, and then there's roll of time deeply removed, and there's roll of time confidence and dreams. It's like a 3-part piece. This is. And then on that same record, I'm playing these for you. I've played this one before because this record is available on aidenessenmusic.com. Which classical composer would be most interesting to you if they started playing jazz at any time period? Probably Bach. So that is on the record Anadolu, which is on idensmusic.com if you want to buy it. That was a piece for English horn, not oboe, and cello, piano. Okay, I'm done for tonight. Yes, he wrote the other parts. It was a composed piece, and he improvised in the middle of it. Oh, this is a long one. And unfortunately, well, let's see how long it takes before it gets blocked. I say 20 minutes, maybe. Look tomorrow and see if it's blocked in the morning. Good old ECM. I'm going to put up a post on my Instagram with the blocking, with a picture of the block. I know it. I know it. Thank you.